Proud Poverty, adapted from Kim Marshall. Quite a while ago, a reporter wrote an unusual story in the New York Times. It was about an old man and his wife who were so poor that they lived in a car. The man's name was Chester. He and his wife would not go to the welfare office to get money because where they came from, they thought that accepting money without working for it was wrong. Chester was born in Poland, a country in Europe, and came to America when he was young because he had heard that America was a country where you could get rich if you worked hard. For many years, Chester worked in shipyards and building boats. He was a good worker and made good money. Then he got sick and had to quit his job. Most people who lose their jobs because of sickness apply to the government for money to help them stay alive. But Chester and his wife believed that taking money from the government was like begging. They were too proud to receive money from the government. So Chester and his wife moved out of their apartment and lived and slept in their old car. They would park the car by the river at night to sleep, and in the morning they would dig for clams in the river and cook them over a fire. To get money for gas and an occasional meal in a restaurant, Chester went to junkyards and collected copper wire from inside old cars. He took apart the starter motors of the old cars and unwrapped the copper wire in the electric motors. Then he sold the copper wire for 40 cents per pound. If he worked hard, he could get 25 pounds of wire in a day and could sell it for $10. In the winter, when the reporter wrote the story about Chester and his wife, things were very hard. Chester was sick and could not work in the junkyards, and it was very cold at night. They didn't have enough gas to keep the motor and the heater running all the time. Finally, Chester and his wife went to the welfare office and asked for help. But the people in the office didn't believe they really had fallen on hard times because they owned a car. Chester explained that they needed the car because that is where they were living. The welfare people still refused to give them money. It looked as if Chester and his wife would continue to struggle with hunger and cold. Fortunately, when people read the story in the newspaper, Chester and his wife received the help they needed.